Hey, today I'm going to show you one of the secrets to not getting injured while deadlifting. It's a common fault most people do, extending at the lockout. Okay, so we're back on the deadlifting form tip sheet that you can get on p2sportscare.com/shop in case you want it for your office or your gym. And you can see their logos down here are mine as well as information, but you can interchange it for all your own stuff. So go on there, check it out. I make these for you guys to learn these tips. So this is the third part in our series so far. We started with the setup, we went to lumbar spine rounding, and now we're gonna go to the lean back at the top. And I can't tell you how often I see this. And I think partially the reason is because we bring so much attention to this lumbar spine rounding, which I'll zoom in on, is we see that a lot of times that people don't want to round with, rightfully so, because a lot of times this will affect the lumbar spine disc and a lot of times create a lot of discogenic or irritation to the pain, discogenic pain we call it. So we definitely don't want this, but this is okay over the short term, but it's a lot of compensation, honestly. What we want is this dude on the right. The guy on the left is basically leaning back to be able to keep the weight up. What we really want is the standing portion of a squat as well as a deadlift is a solid plank. So check this guy out. Straight as can be. This dude is doing a horrible plank if we turn him on his side. So we want to be more like this guy. And if I came up to this guy partway through or into the top part, I should be able to push him and he shouldn't go anywhere. And a lot of times when people don't have a lot of weight on the bar, they don't respect it and they go kind of slack at the top. Or they'll lean back and their abdominal tension as well as their tension within their torso becomes a 1 or a 0. It's like a rest period for them. I strongly encourage them to drive the hips forward across the room, try to bump into the bar, stand up tall, and allow yourself to have some tension within the front side abdominal wall as well. It'll decrease the possibility of this lean back. Now you might be thinking, well, these people do this all the time. They lift a ton of weight. What's wrong with it because it works for them? Sure. This is not something where we're looking at lumbar spine rounding where all of a sudden, boom, the disc goes and then you're out for a couple months. This actually is more of an issue with a movement pattern. And what we found actually through various studies is that the extension of the hip, it works independent of the torso. But what a lot of people do, especially when they have lumbar spine pain, is they use the hip and the lumbar spine or the low back kind of in unison of this hip extension movement, as well as rotation, and that ball and socket of the hip should work independent of this. So what we're trying to do is basically separate. This guy is combining hip extension with lumbar spine extension. When this dude is having hip extension, the lumbar spine stays in the same position that this central girl has, and she's creating the pillar, the coined term by core performance. So we need to make sure this area is super rigid. Just as Stuart McGill says, keep it the same, drive the hips, and create a nice plank at the top. Okay, so this is leaning back. And a lot of times people who will have pain in deadlifting at the top here, and they're extending, a lot of times they're a little bit older. And I don't want to say super old, but past 45, 50, and they have posterior element injuries of the spine, such as facet syndrome or stenosis or things of that nature. So this is, what should I go through next? Why don't you write down actually what you want to hear about next, which tip, and one that I hear about the most, I'll actually do. So we still have hips rising too fast. We have deadlifting versus squatting, tripod the foot, which is one of my favorite, pre-pull tension, bar position. And then if you guys, again, want this again, all this stuff can be removed. It can be put on a poster, put in your office for a very reasonable price, put in your gym, or a big banner, because I'll tell you what, all the people that I worked with that have this, they don't realize it until I demo it or I start to show them a picture like this, and especially tripod on the foot, which we can go into another time. They start to get it when they see it. So some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, and obviously everyone should get external cueing. So until then, subscribe to the channel. You'll get videos just like this as much as I possibly can, at least one time a week. And I'm trying to shoot for daily. Daily is going to be really hard for me, but I'm going to try it the best I can. Talk to you guys soon.